And Susanna, she is brave and smart. She would stood up for herself and say, no, I don't want this. Figaro was clueless about what's happening. The thing about Susanna is she would go to this down place, but she would always bounce right back. She would laugh about it. We all need to have some of Susanna in us.
On the Dallas Opera Network, you're listening to Opera Box Score.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Wherever you are, however you're listening, it's America's talk radio show about opera. It's Opera Box Score. I'm George Cederquist, joined by Oliver Camacho, Matt Cummings, and Weston Williams. All right, this week, Oliver goes inside the Huddle with soprano Ying Fang. They talk about singing Mozart and why we should all be more like Susanna. Plus, 2-minute drill. Save the drama for your mama. There's lots of it this week. I don't even know where to start that. By the way, if you're watching on Dallas Opera Network, make sure you subscribe to the podcast on Stitcher, or you just favorite the show on Apple Podcasts. That way, you get the entire episode. Let's get to the sports talk right away. Let's get to Oliver Camacho. It's great to see you again, Oliver. Look at that hat.
Thank you. It's from the Land of Enchantment, New Mexico. It's the New Mexico state.
Branding. Drop that branding right in there.
They love us, right?
They love us at Santa Fe. They're very happy with our work so far. Weston and Matt and Ash, you guys did such great work while I was at Santa Fe.
My offline efforts counted for that?
Yes. Matt was giving a lot of
back after missing in action for like
we're going to
to
become the official podcast. They have their own podcast actually, and they have their own like media room, and they use Soundcast or Sound Squad or Squadcast it's called, and it's actually a really cool program. But I think after they see what we've done with their content and with their artists,
they're going to make the move.
Yeah,
make the move.
We're going to be.
Matt Cummings, great to see you again.
Yeah,
back down to sea level after some time in Colorado.
Fantastic. And well, hey, Weston.
Hey, Mr. Peppermint.
Mr. Peppermint.
You look like a candy cane, George, is what I'm saying.
You look very refreshing.
Look at your suit.
Yeah.
Ashlee Hardgrave not on the show this week, although she did post about the preseason Bears game that she went to with an opera parallel. You're going to have to go to the website, operaboxscore.com, to check out exactly what she wrote. Is pretty.
Look at that multimedia experience that we offer you on Opera Box Score.
You can go to our Instagram and see our one post a week.
You don't want to oversaturate the market,
exactly.
Oliver.
Yeah. It's true.
So a little bit of our schedule, just so you guys know, because we are approaching the time of year where we normally take a week off. We're going to take 2 this time around, and George will give you the details about that at the end of the show. But while we're gone, the U.S. Open will have completed already the last Grand Slam of the season. So you're not going to be able to hear my hot takes on who is the most beautiful tennis player of 2021. It's Stefanos Tsitsipas. I'll just tell you right now.
Spoiler alert for all you at home.
It's true. I have been on vacation for a couple of weeks. I was back in Michigan. And while I was there, I went to a Detroit Tigers game with my father-in-law and my son. It was a total blast. Get this. The Tigers were ahead 10-2 in the bottom of the 5th. And by the end of the game, they lost 13-10. An epic Tigers collapse, but more importantly, 23 runs scored in a Major League Baseball game. It's a great stadium. You can see the Detroit Opera House, where Michigan Opera Theater is, from the seats where we were sitting. Let's talk some opera.
Huddle up. Let's go inside the huddle.
So 2 years ago, I heard Ying Fang for the first time. She was singing Zerlina at Lyric Opera of Chicago. And I remember, you don't usually pay that much attention to Zerlina unless they're really good. I remember the voice.
But she was not.
The voice was solid and the acting was great. But, it was a great cast. It had Amanda Majeski. It had Lucas Meacham. had Rachel Willis Sorensen. So she had a lot of great talent to share the stage with. So I just put it in the back of my mind. Okay, there's a singer out there named Ying Fang. Pay attention. And then she was the Susanna in the Santa Fe opera production of Marriage of Figaro. I was like, okay, I remember her. And sure enough, she delivered, and she probably stole the show. I don't want to say that, but maybe she did, and she had some really fantastic moments, especially the aria at the end of the opera, which, it's basically a 4-hour opera, and it has to be sung so beautifully, and you've got to be exhausted. It's the most taxing role in a Mozart opera. It's the longest role in a Mozart opera ever written. She's literally on stage in basically every scene. So it's incredible to be able to sing Susanna well and to make an impression as Susanna. It's not a role that you can usually make that much of an impression in. And I have to say, I was watching her, and she's such a great stage actress. Her gestures were so beautifully timed. Everything she did really supported how she was singing, and she was just dancing across the stage. She was so light on her feet. And I thought, well, maybe she's like this flighty type that just looks really fun on stage, like Danielle Denise. But then I saw this video of her singing Ilya, directed by Peter Sellers. And you can see that. We're going to actually listen to a little bit of it really soon, where she's singing Zeffiretti, which is a really hard aria. And the camera is on close up right on her face. And she does that much acting with an aria that is so notoriously difficult and exposed, and she does it so beautifully. So I recommend you go watch that video. I was so thrilled to meet her, and I want to thank once again the PR team at Santa Fe Opera. Is there anything else you can say about these women that you play? What is the through line, or what is the thing that is different between each of these characters, and what you have to bring, between Zelina and Pamina and Ilya? These are all roles that we categorize as the same Fach, but they're not the same girl.
They are totally different. I would say Zelina and Susanna, they're more in the same group. And Ilya and Pamina, they're more like heroines. They're princesses. They are in that group. So Zelina, I would say Zelina is even more earthier than Susanna. She's just a peasant girl, maybe no education at all. She is just, but she takes opportunities when she can, right? When she met Don Giovanni, and when he seduced her to this very promising future, she actually went for it a little bit until she realized it's, a lie. But I think she's brave, very brave in her own way, like Susanna, because I think Zelina is brave to admit that she made a mistake. And she knows exactly how to get her way around Mazzetto to get him to get back to her again. I think that's Zelina. And Susanna, she is brave and smart, and I would say the way about her bravery is she would stood up for herself in that time period when women were considered literally just a part of property. And when the class division is so evident, she would stood up for herself and say, no, I don't want this. And let's find a way to get this out of the possibilities, and let's work. And she's the one. I mean, Figaro was clueless about what's happening, right? He didn't know that the count is after her. And Susanna was just this magical woman that tied everything together, everyone together, to this conclusion of the count. Say, I'm so sorry to the countess. I think that's amazing. That's she's just amazing character. And also, the thing about Susanna is she would get frustrated, she would get hit, she would get, go to this down place, but she would always bounce right back. She would laugh about it. And that's so special about her. And I think, especially during this time, during this pandemic, we all need to have some of Susanna in us.
Good call. Bad call on Opera Box Score.
All right, time to wrap the show up. Good call, bad call, as we always do. And we're going to start with Oliver Camacho.
Friends of the show at Opera Theater St. Louis have announced that they will be streaming their performances from this season. You can watch those performances throughout the month of September. The OTSLGD and FOS, friend of the show, Andrew Jorgensen, said that our outdoor festival was a fantastic success, but we could only accommodate 25% of our usual capacity. We cannot wait to share our season with the hundreds of supporters who were unable to attend. Like me, I wanted to go, I couldn't. I really want to see Will Lieberman in Highway 51. So yeah, look out for Opera Theater St. Louis coming onto your computer screen in September.
Matt Cummings.
So over this past week, I've been listening to that new recording of I Puritani from Kansas City that has friend of the show Larry Brownlee and Sarah Coburn in it. There are a decent amount of Puritani recordings out there, and most of them are pretty good. I wouldn't say that any of them is definitive. And even if I won't go so far as to say this one is definitive, it is extremely solid. In particular, Larry Brownlee, who's got the range. He sounds rock solid in that high F that everyone listens to, and it's actually pretty. So check it out.
Weston Williams' good call is My Jacket.
Yeah, I was gonna say I actually had a bad call. I met these 3 barbershop quartet members that they just couldn't find. They couldn't find their tenor. They say he's about this tall, red hair. They said he couldn't miss him, but I don't know where he could possibly be.
Yeah, he was probably clean shaven, though. My good call... Okay, I don't watch a lot of TV. This is, however, opera related. On HBO Max, there is a Norwegian TV series playing right now called The Beforeigners. And get this, the opening location of the opening episode, it takes place in the Opera House in Oslo. That's it for this week's edition of America's Talk radio show about opera. Our announcer is Norm Woodel. He's at normwoodel.com. On Facebook, search for Opera Box Score. On Twitter and Instagram, we're at Opera Box Score. Look, help us deepen the bench of listeners by liking and sharing our social media posts. Email us your hot takes, operaboxscore@gmail.com. Subscribe to the podcast on Stitcher or just hit that favorite button on Apple Podcasts. The views and opinions expressed on Opera Box Score are solely those of the show's creative team. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of the accounts of this show without the express written consent of Opera Box Score is Blue 32, hot! Our creative consultant is Oliver Camacho. Our audio and video editor is Weston Williams. For your co-host, Matt Cummings, I'm George Cederquist, asking you to continue the conversation about opera as those preseason NFL games wear on. We're back with an all-new show on Wednesday, September 15, when we kick off Season 7, count it, of the OBS. Inside the Huddle with soprano Erin Morley. And we give you more opera headlines, more hot takes, and more what you want when you want it. Join us.